After the relationship ended, he reached out to my son-in-law and talked about how there was no other woman. Was this a confession? He stopped being intimate about me months before. No, it's not a confession. That's like a triangulation attempt of trying to bring your son-in-law in as a flying monkey to hoover you back. I've been so depressed with dealing with the narcissist. He keeps cheating, and now I won't touch him or let him touch me. It's so painful. I feel weak, too weak to leave. Until you leave, you will always feel weak because he won't actually let you even move forward. How can I store this live? They're all on YouTube. You can check them out on YouTube. I'll try to repost this, but they're all on YouTube. How can I leave and have a completely new life the next day, especially when we live together? It seems so easy. It is because of compartmentalization. Okay, like you have all your memories and you box up your memories as you're moving from one house to the next, and one of them has all your memories, all your photo albums. You have them there, and on the way there, the back of the truck opens and the photo albums fall out, and you lose them forever. When you get there, you're going to remember them. Okay, the narcissist doesn't. The narcissist is like, poof, out of sight, out of mind. Those no longer exist. This is my new aspect. This is my new life. Okay, so they're going to use compartmentalization and they just throw it away. How do you recover from breaking no contact, and does this feed their ego? Best way to recover after breaking no contact is get back on the wagon and go back no contact and start working on yourself. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, you have to be able to break from this aspect of this going back and forth over and over and over and over again. You've helped me immensely. Oh, this is good. I'm glad to hear that. What's going to happen if a narcissist does not follow the court order? Then you start pushing back on the court order and get them arrested, get them thrown in jail. Like, follow the court order. Is compartmentalization typical of narcissistic trait? Oftentimes, yes. There's other people that do it too. Even like disassociation. There's people, obviously a lot of trauma survivors that do that as well. He stopped with financial support and always talks about how much he makes. Yes, unless it's going through a court system, typically you're not going to get anything. Can borderline personality look like NPD in your opinion? Absolutely, especially if it's toxic and if it's unhealed, then yeah, absolutely. Will a narcissist do the same thing to new supply like he did me? Typically, just don't watch, because typically when you watch, you're only going to see it as the love bombing side from the outside, and you're going to get convinced that he's found the love of his life when he actually hasn't. Mine tried to return 3 different times in 4 years until I learned about narcissism and finally blocked. Can a narcissist grow out of their narcissistic tendencies? No, typically they just get worse, or they learn how to hide it. They go from an overt maybe to a covert. They start to hide it in a different way. My stated, it's not your fault, it's mine. I see it's not your fault, it's mine. Interesting. So maybe it's going through more of like the vulnerable narcissist, like the victim aspect. Is it true that narcissists tell themselves by accusing of doing they're actually doing? That's very common. A lot of times we see that. My ex told me he used to box things up, such referring to his feelings for me. Yeah, so compartmentalization, 100%. That's how I used to talk about it before I even knew the word compartmentalization. Like growing up, I knew I boxed stuff. Like I would have an emotion or a feeling, and it would be in a box. Would not bring that box around certain people. It would be like, hey, I'm by myself. Let me open up. Let me experience what's in there now. But I'm not going to do it around other people because that'd be weak and vulnerable emotion, right? After 21 years of marriage and 2 children, 1 scapegoat and 1 golden child, I've stood my ground. He's messed with the wrong mom bear to have to use the leverage I have from his past. Awesome. Continue moving on. Continue to grow. How do you leave a narcissist when you have a 2-year-old son with him and you need to co-parent? So, Ashley, you're going to be moving into parallel parenting world, not co-parenting. Co-parenting doesn't exist with the narcissist because there's not anything about them actually working with you. So a lot of it is you start processing the divorce, you get a very strong custody agreement. You also get a very strong communication agreement along with the custody agreement. That way you can actually start to get capacity and separate yourself from other people. Will he hoover even after getting married? Yes, 100%. If they know they have NPD and their partner knows too, will that keep them from coming back? No, not necessarily, because he doesn't have seen his daughter in close to 2 years. That was going back to the other one, wasn't it? Yeah, I lost the first one, so I'm sorry. My ex said the same thing about boxing things up. Yeah, I see a lot of narcissist traits and 3 bipolar people I know and their manic thoughts. Yeah, sometimes you'll have people that even try to get narcissists to be like bipolar, ADHD, like different aspects like that. The thing is, like when they're like manic and they show up narcissistic traits, that's different than just being narcissistic and showing up the traits like constantly kind of thing. He treats his first son, his mother, better than me and the daughters he has with me. Yeah. Will you, Lee, and Catherine be doing any meet and greet and discuss again? Would love to meet you all. Right now, we don't have any plans for that. I recently, just this past month, launched my first like online workshop, which we had about like 30 people that signed up for that. We're going to be doing another one come towards crap, I don't remember. It's on my calendar, but I haven't actually started advertising it. I'm gonna be doing another online workshop. I did one this past month that was 4 hours long. We actually started teaching people like the formula and how we actually help break people free. And then several people were like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to be able to help move forward. So kind of like pull the curtain back of like, hey, this is what we do, like hands down the whole way. I see, and I read that. I had to unblock him. There's no messaging back. Is he using the silent treatment? Why did you have to unblock him? Tell me more about that. Why did you have to unblock him? Like, I don't understand that. He holds things over adults, kids, has the guilt, so they'll stay in contact. Hurts my heart. Can't stop texting my ex and even though he blocked me. Still love him. So until you actually change your mindset, until you actually change the story you're telling yourself, you keep selling yourself on a false reality that will keep you going back to a toxic person. Okay. So you can still love him and rewire. Like, you need to be able to understand that the person says you can't still love him and detach from him. So there's a piece of like, hey, loving that person, the best thing to love that person might be being in no contact. Okay. But the thing is, like, part of that love for that person needs to be turned around a little bit of what's that love look like for you? Because right now you're actually not showing yourself appreciation. What can I do if the other parent won't take the kids on the activities like jiu-jitsu when it's his weekend and said it's on your parenting agreement? You follow the routine, both homes. You send him the parenting agreement, then you start filing through the court system and get more custody because he's not actually following through on his side. I can't forgive and forget from the wounds which ex gave me to support for other one to live my life. Yeah, no one's asking you to forget, that's for sure. Trying to catch up. There's a lot of comments. Thank you for helping us deal with the bully cowards since earlier. 100%. What if you're ignoring the narcissist, but you are scared to block because of what the reaction might be? Penny, just know that as long as you keep ignoring them, they'll always keep feeding off of that, knowing they're still getting through. If they're still getting through, eventually one day you will cave. You're like, no, I won't. Eventually one day you will cave. Think of it on like the worst day ever that you've ever had, and you feel really bad, and you come home and you want to sit there in your feelings, and you get a text. You're like, oh, maybe I'll respond this time. Eventually you'll cave. They want to have you ignore them instead of block them because that means they still have access to you. Is he treating new supply badly when social media makes like look they're in love? Social media a lot of times is fake, y'all. Like, you need to wake up to this, okay? Narcissists will put all of the stuff on social media to make themselves look better, okay, and to trigger you. If you're watching them on social media, get out the popcorn because you're watching a show, you're watching a production, and you're also hurting your healing opportunity, okay? Was success. Oh, what's up, Jim? You need to come visit Arizona. I know. If I'm ever in that direction, I will. But we are going to be doing more online stuff. So I'm going to be moving more into the online world of online workshops because the one we had this last month went so well. Was really happy with it. How do you recover from breaking no contact and take back your control? So, Rosie, you need to first get to the place where you need to block again. You're like, well, I don't know if I can block again. Well, that goes back to the story you're telling yourself. So like you're triggering yourself to stay in contact because of a belief that you have. Once you're able to work on that belief, then you block and go no contact. Like it's easier said than done. I get this. This is why we talk, hey, just block. And then we also talk like, hey, if you can't block yet, then we need to work on rewiring the story that you're telling yourself. Okay.